Let's get this camera on. Morning, everyone. Hopefully this works. There we go. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing this morning? Hopefully you're all doing well. Got some nice shorts in the room in the pre-market. Taking out key levels. So let's go over everything we're looking at. Again, on the daily, we're thinking about weekly model. Those who've done the course, you should understand what we're looking at and the possible setups. All right, so we're in a 2-day pullback here, or at least 1 day, confirmed yesterday, closing after sweeping the low and closing outside the range. We're inside this sort of balance range right now. All right, so what we're looking for is if we're going to get continuation, we have an old imbalance down here. This down here is RBS based on previous all-time highs. And if we flush through that all the way down here. Now, any pullback is likely to be met by buyers. Now, we don't know if this pullback is going to stop here. Is it going to stop here? Is it going to come deeper? We don't know. But what we do know is the higher time frame is in an upswing. All right, so anything down into these levels is likely to find a bid. Down into these levels at some point is likely to find a bid. So you have to be aware of that. If you're playing shorts, right, you're playing this leg here, 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 this leg here. It's always followed by a stronger trend up. The only time that will change is when we start getting stuck down here, create a new balance range and start to break these lows and come down into here. But we can afford a major pullback on this market. It doesn't mean it needs to give it. But just I'm trying to make the point that this leg, if you're playing short today, is a pullback leg to go higher. Do not be surprised if buyers step in. Pre-market, we've already done the damage. We've already taken out a key level. That key level being previous day low. All right, so just focus your eyes on here. And take this off for a second. Think about what we did after a big move down. What do we always look for? A 2-leg pullback. 1, 2, failure in supply. All right, remember this was old demand or old support becomes supply or becomes resistance. So S, B, R, 2-leg pullback. This is nothing more than a flag. And if you were present for this morning, it gave you a nice move down. Now taken out that liquidity low. All right, so we've taken out this low here. So that's why I'm saying the damage is done. The easy money has already happened pre-market. We are now just in a range, right, on the NQ. That range is between support and resistance. And we can keep rotating backwards and forwards. If we're going to get continuation, you'll need a move underneath that then firms up a rejection for the move next down into probably 560s, and if it keeps moving down, maybe we come for that wick at sort of 480s. Oh my, what has gone on there? That is nuts. Maybe I hit a can you see it now? I think I've hit a short, probably hit a key for OBS. Hopefully you can see that now. All right, where did you get up to? Did you see the hourly? Did you see the daily at least? Changed on the hourly, did it? All right, I've got to watch my hotkeys here. All right, let's do this again. So on the hourly overnight, 1, 2. So your 2-leg pullback after a strong sell into support becomes resistance, SBR. There's your sell point, there's your flag. All right, and we sell down and we've taken out the stops at the lows so far. So those who caught the short this morning, you've made your money. The easy money is been and gone. All right, it's been and gone. Which means we have the ability to range between these levels today. Now, once we get outside of those levels, we're thinking about breakout continuation or failed breakout. So what do I mean by that? If we think about this daily or this hourly down here, if we start to build more liquidity here and we fail, right, with volume breaking the lows and maybe we retest it, we can come down to the next mark, which would be this level here. 550, 560. Flushing that, we're looking at 470s. Flushing that, we're looking at this support system down here. Okay, if we make one more move down and there's a lack of continuation and we move back inside and produce a higher low here, then where are we going to go? We're going to go back to the top side of the range. All right, so shorts will get stuck down there if we don't see a continuation pattern and we come to the top side of the range. All right, once we get to the top side of the range, what are we thinking? Exactly the same process. It's either a break above and a hold for a continuation back into the top side of supply, all-time highs, or, all right, it's a failure. It's a rotation, a failure to sweep these stops and getting stuck and back to the bottom side of the range. All right, so this is the area today. Outside of that, continuation or failure. Outside of that, continuation or failure back inside. Those are going to be your bread and butter setups today. But again, the damage has been done pre-market because we took out these lows. You've had your two-leg pullback. London got the short. If you were here in this market, you were able to get this short down here like we did in Discord. Made our money already. So that's what I'm watching this morning. All right, that's what I'm watching this morning to see. Are we going to go into a rotational day or are we going to go into a day where we might get some continuation? Those are the two options. You can see here, previous day low, this green mark. Once we got down here, we talked about it in chat. We were saying, let's take our money here. We're runners only at this point. So it gave you lots of opportunities to sell in a bigger structure. All right. Once we break this, there's your neckline. And this is the breakdown. That should take profit. We're seeing a push up right now, pre-market, off some good Tesla numbers. Shorts getting stuck on Tesla and they're paying the price for it. So we're moving up off those numbers right now, helping to drag this market up. Let's have a quick look across the mag together. How are we doing for time? Let's sip my coffee here for a second. Let's have a look, see what's inside range, what's outside range. Apple, big drive up, above previous day high, finding some failures, but a nice gap up there on Apple. If it can hold this sort of range, any range above 208, it has potential continuation. Now, I know it's got a gap fill up to 211 that I was watching, and then through that it can get going. But, you know, any hold of 208, 207 has potential to retest the high and keep going. Microsoft, that looks awful. Obviously in a big sell yesterday, breaking down, very clear, seeing the same patterns over again. Breaking down, there's your retest, sell, there's your push, sell. We'll have to look left here to see what's left, if there's any support on Microsoft, but definitely big break. Yeah, major sell point, might come and clean up all this liquidity. So if the next push fails, it's going to come back down. I wouldn't be long really on Microsoft until you see a break back above this at this point. This is in a strong sell pattern. So tech weaker right now than the S&Ps. Amazon trading inside range. Previous day high, previous day low, previous day close, just trading inside range right now. Goog gapping down, but again inside range. Coming into some key levels that it found bids at yesterday. Meta in a pullback on the higher time frame right now. If you get consolidation at Meta between sort of 700 and 717, I'd be very, very worried. Nvidia gapping down, taking out previous day low, trying to find a bid. So you have to see if pops start to fail today. It's still inside previous day range. Tesla with a ripper. All right, this was higher time frame demand down here. This is why it ripped. People don't understand that. All right, you cannot, just remember this, doesn't matter how much you hate someone, you do not take short positions into demand structure. This is a W, this is a clear break above, this is a retest of it, this is likely to try and go upside, all right? And then the numbers came out and it was enough to move this market up. So shorts in Tesla got stuck from yesterday and you can see they're in pain gapping up, right? It might give it all back. Again, the damage has been done. Let's have a look at the spiders. Spiders are in a big range here, all right? Spiders, the S&P cash market, there's your demand, there's your resistance, and we're just washing between. All right, this is your confluence today. If you get spiders starting to break down and retest, I think the Qs will roll over deeper. All right, if you don't get that and continue to go sideways, then the Qs probably go sideways. If you get a failed breakout, then Qs probably go back inside range. If you get a trend over, push, and like this, Qs probably get bullish. Again, if you get a failed breakout, we go back inside range. So I'm definitely watching the spiders today for some confluence. Same with the VIX, it's in the same kind of range. All right, we talked about it yesterday. 1750, very, very clear. All you have to do is look left. Here's your pivot. All right, from the 25th, all right, this right here is supply, this right here is demand. Underneath this is excess, all right? So we got down here, we didn't like it, no value there, and we traded away from it, we reject it, we come down. We go away from it, we reject it, we come down. Backwards and forwards, very much like the S&P, all right? We're waiting for a breakout outside of those areas. Inside those areas, it's going to be choppy action, folks, all right? So all the time we're going to stay inside, it's going to be choppy action. We're thinking about channels. All right, there's a couple that we can put on this chart right now, a couple of trends. Let's remove this. Main one, this guy here. All right, this is being respected right now. I'd be watching if we're going to get back up here for this move back into supply. All right, otherwise we're expecting a rotation from up to down and a break lower or a failed breakout. That makes sense for everyone. I know there's lots in this chart today, but it's because we are in a rotating market. We have to respect that, right? Even though pressure has been downside, the fact that we've swept liquidity and the S&P isn't moving with it, you have to be cautious. You've got 3 minutes to the open. If we see a morning drive, all right, that pushes up and gets sold into, then you know there's potential for a retest of the lows. If we break those lows, there's potential of a continuation trade. If we break those lows and sweep and come back inside, or we fail to break those lows, then you know there's very, very strong possibility of a rotational move. All right, so I'm waiting to see at the open. We've already made money in the room, remember. I'm waiting to see at the open if we're going to go into continuation or rotation. Remember, there's no news today. We've got a shortened market. Tomorrow is a half day. We have numbers early in the morning and Friday's off. Right, so this is really the last opportunity for traders to trade the market. And there's a good chance, I would say, we go into a holding pattern. Unless there's a reason that they think they need to go risk off today, there's a fairly good chance we can go into a bit of a holding pattern here this morning. All right, so hopefully you're all prepared. Hopefully lots of you made money. We've talked about it in Discord already. We've locked in our money. Having a quick look at the book. Again, this feels like yesterday. Very thin on the book. No big orders on the Qs. Maybe they're coming in the next couple minutes. But yeah, not much there. Like there's 15 lot up at 670. These are tiny, tiny orders. Always concerns me a bit. Let's have a look at the S&P. All right, you got 150 lot at 47.5, 155 lot at 250s, and downside 230s. Right, so let's see if there's a morning drive this morning that's going clears out 250, 255, and then fails, and there's not much left on the book, then you can think about maybe a rotation. But we're just going to have to be super patient this morning. Super patient, because lower time frame, like we talked about, we've taken that liquidity, we're moving away from it. This might now want to rotate, but time will tell. Time will tell. Not looking to place a trade at the open here. Again, locked in good money this morning. Good to be patient here, especially once the low-hanging fruit's gone. Remember, low-hanging fruit on the Qs has been taken. It's not been taken on the S&Ps yet. Not going to have time to go through all the good mornings this morning, but thank you for joining, everyone. Please hit that like button nice and early. If you're not a member, just smash subscribe. I'm here Monday to Friday, 9:15 all the way into lunch. Morning, Jeff, Jesse. Let's see how many we can get through here. BU, Thumper, Eva, Toby, Coop, Glenn, Ramus, Chris, John Lucan, Bart, Trentry, Dre, Money Printer, Eva, Jesse, Raphael, Tim V, Aaron, Jeff, Mike, Ken, Clint, Steve C, and Peter, and everyone else who's here. Good morning, everyone. As a newer trader, I'm focusing on the New York session. What time is ideal to start the session? I would say I wouldn't be placing a trade if you're a newer trader for the first 15 minutes, right? Market's open now. I'd be waiting at least 15 minutes. Then you've got your opening range set and you can start thinking about what type of market you're in at that point. All right, having a quick look over at the mag then. Tesla gapping up off that news that we talked about, 2.88% up, giving a little bit back. Nvidia 0.25% up, Apple 0.25% up, Meta 0.5% down, Google 0.33% down, Amazon 0.5% down, Microsoft 0.5% down. So mixed bag, all right, mixed bag in the mag. VIX trying to get up towards that 1750 that we've been talking about the last few days. QQQ trading around its 5-day moving average right now. Let's just get this line on so it prints. Can you print the open, please? All right, here's your New York open. Again, making high lows, lower time frame right now. H1 can afford a big drive up if it wants. Lots of liquidity probably sat up towards that 1780. All right, so lower time frame in a long right now. Higher time frame, well, hourly is in a sell, 4 hours in a sell, daily's in a buy, and lower time frame, I'd say sort of M5 probably. Yeah, M5 and under is in a buy. All right, so you're not in alignment. The lower time frame flipping to a buy right now as it drives back up towards VWAP. Let's get our anchor on before I forget. That is not an anchor. There we go. All right, so rejecting Globex so far. Back to the New York Open. ES looks weak. All right, ES looks like it might want to try and get a bit lower. If it breaks those pre-market lows on ES, it's got previous day low to still gun for. If it holds those pre-market lows, then the rotation can continue. So just waiting, like I said, not in a hurry this morning. Holding New York Open so far. Waiting for a bit of liquidity to come back on this book. It is a bit thin right now. How many of you caught that short this morning? I know lots of you in the Discord caught the short. As we pump up higher here. Here's VWAP. Google going red to green here. Apple going green, Meta going green. So all the market going green other than Microsoft and Amazon right now. So tech trying to have a bounce. Remember, we're breaking the downtrend here. We are starting to move upside. Just want to see how we act around the VWAP here. Are we going to fail into PDC, or are we going to try and confirm a rotational day higher, which is what it's starting to feel like, but not trusting the S&Ps yet. So tech stronger than the S&Ps so far this morning. Morning, Dre. So yeah, Clint got it this morning. Coop got it this morning. So into VWAP. See what we get here. So far, not finding bids above VWAP or PDC. We're pretty much in midpoint of the range. If you think about the demand and supply channels, I don't know why they're not showing one here. If we think about this, and this. All right, we're at midpoint right now. Like I said, ES looks much heavier here of the two. Let's see. Retesting trend line here. Let's see if they're going to start letting this go. Watching ES very, very carefully. You've got big divergence here between the ES and the Qs. Qs are at their New York high, ES trading at the New York low right now. If ES starts breaking down underneath pre-market lows, there's a good chance for this to wash. If they're just going to go and dip under the pre-market lows and find a bid, then you've got a failed auction. And just watching this carefully, seeing what it wants to do here. So the pattern on NQ looks pretty bullish. The pattern on ES looks pretty bearish right now. Very, very different charts. I think if ES starts letting go, there is a potential chance for NQ to try and make at least a retest of the lows. It's not that one leads another. It's just each day is different. But where we get the best confluence is when they're both wanting to do the same thing, because it means the market breadth is equal, which is the opposite of what we had yesterday and the opposite of what we're getting today. So no trades yet in the New York session, just waiting. Remember, trend line would take us all the way up into 740s, the higher time frame trend line. Lots of liquidity up there. We're starting to reclaim Globex. We can go all the way to Globex highs here if it's going to find some strength. Starting to see a big push here. So if you're in this long from this signal here, from any of this here, you can start taking some partials as you start to run for potential trend line liquidity. So your next stop, 7s, and then 717s. This is yesterday's VWAP. And then back up towards new day opening gap. Again, the book is very thin, folks. Not many people at home right now. No big orders on the tape. So retest of VWAP here. Again, ES nowhere near. SPY still under its VWAP. QQQ over the VWAP. So the opposite to yesterday. Strength in the Qs, weakness in the S&Ps. I'm wanting to see here. If I'm going to think about long, I'd really want the S&P to start proving itself. Rather than what I'm seeing right now is a curl on the VIX for a potential retest of those 1750s. Not what I want to see if I'm thinking about getting long. Apple trading up to that gap fill that I talked about into 211s. Oh, that's amazing, Bowden. Yeah, I think he's got to be one of the nicest guys out there, isn't he? What did your who did your fiance go to see? Lots of upsets this year at Wimbledon in men's and the women's. Lots of top 10 seeds already out. So S&P back to VWAP, QQQ over the VWAP. If you're in these longs, you can hold on to it. I'm not in anything yet. Samia, good morning. I wonder if we're going to take this wick out. It's 736 on the NQ. Again, I'm not really interested in entering in the midpoint of this range between the red and the blue block, which is where we're at right now. We're pretty much in the midpoint. So it's probably a good buy down here, pre-market. Here's your signature sweep, higher low, and this was probably a better buy for this potential rotation. I don't really want to enter here because structure's down here at this point. watching to see if this 5-minute bar on S&P gets a close over the VWAP, which it looks like it's going to attempt to do. So does the next pullback hold now at this point on the S&P? She got a free ground pass. The girl she was with got them into the Djokovic game. Oh, wow. That's a pretty good trip, isn't it? Meet Ian Wright and get into Djokovic. Awesome. Did she have a Pims? That's the real question. Did she have strawberries and cream and a Pims? It's not Wimbledon unless you have strawberries and cream and a Pims. Been amazing weather for them this year. Heat wave over in UK at the moment and the rest of Europe. Going to be hotter than Dubai this week. Mental. With no prep, like normal. No one in England's got any AC or anything like that. Lots of white, sweaty bodies everywhere. All right, retesting VWAP here on the Qs. Again, relative weakness in the ES. I'm not convinced in this to the long side yet, still because of ES. I really am not convinced in this move early morning. Is it just a pump to dump to retest the lows? I'm wondering. Relative strength in the Qs. Waiting for some bigger orders to come on the book as well. It's still very, very thin, folks. Biggest order I can see is a 30 lot down at 650. It's really nothing. All right, back to Globex here. Question here really is, did dips start to hold now or do we start to melt? The dips start to hold into these kind of areas. Do they do something like this to allow that squeeze back up, or are they going to get stuck here for this rotation? It's the worry both sides at the moment because we're at midpoint. Here's demand, here's supply, midpoint. You're 50-50 each side of it. All right, so I'm not super convinced, especially with what's going on in the other markets right now. So just trying to wait. Miguel saying Microsoft to lay off 9,000 employees. Is that because of AI rather than anything else? I would imagine so. Back to view up again here. Xbox department, interesting. It feels like it might be a pump to dump at the moment. But the VIX has just moved down to 1720. So again, no confluence in this market right now. Trying to be very, very patient. But we're not getting bids above 700. The tape is pretty thin. ES is not breaking out to the upside. And nothing really for me to engage in. I think the long opportunity's gone. The long opportunity was down at like 650 before the open. It's like a squeeze down here. Very simple flag and squeeze. That was the long opportunity. I'm not convinced of anything yet here. Especially with what the S&P is doing, just dancing sideways without doing a sweep. There'll be no more Xbox systems. What? So they're going to close Xbox down, so it'll just be PlayStation now. S&P looks weak here, folks. And the VIX does not look strong either. So this is just a mess. It's going to wait. Taking my hands completely away from everything. They can't compete with Nintendo. Is that what you play? A Switch? Tell you what I was looking at the other day. You're probably going to think I'm a loser because it is pretty lame. There's a guy on Instagram called like the cricket, VR cricket guy or something like that. I think he has like a Meta Quest on and he plays cricket on it. And I was like, I could do that. I reckon I could do that all day long. I'm very tempted to get one. Lackluster here this morning, folks, right? 57 points so far in your opening range. All right, these white lines are now your opening range. You're in a 57-point range in the orb. VIX cannot hold its gains so far, not being able to push back up towards 1750. Here's your opening range drive. Here's the orb being taken out. Now, the question is, can they get a close and a base above for continuation up into supply? Or is this a push which is met with sellers? There's the break above. Can the ES get going and get through PDC and VWAP? A pretty strong clear out there so far. No close above the orb yet. That's what you're waiting for if you're an orb trader. Again, you'd be trading 50 point of the range. I lack conviction looking at the other charts here at the moment, but maybe we're about to see that rotation back to the top side of supply. Right, there's your 1 minute candle closure. Here's your pullback into the orb. So if you're an orb trader, you want to see if this holds now for absorption. Give you a little readout on the MAC. Tesla 2.84% up, Nvidia just under 1%, Apple almost 2%, Microsoft, oh, what's going on there? Microsoft 0.25% up, and then you've got Amazon 0.25% down, Google just under 0.25% down, Meta 1/3% down. So that pullback into the orb held there. So if you took that long, you're looking for a rotation up into here. Here's trend line. Here's new week opening gap. ES coming into its VWAP right now. So this is the key moment here. Can the ES get through PDC and VWAP? If it gets through PDC and VWAP, then it's going to be an inside bar reclaiming all of previous day's action with potential to drive higher. If it rejects here, then this can be a push to fail. So far, the easy money was made this morning on the short side, and then the long side pre-market as well, really. Your trigger was before the open. What's that level from Friday? 52. Watching that daily level, 752, to see if we get up there and how we react. And just zoom out on a 15-minute chart right now, you'll see we are in nothing more than a range, right? Just here, just ranging. Exactly what we expected this morning. Retest of the orb coming. But lower time frame bullish. I'd say M15, M5 fairly neutral with potential rotation upside into supply. H1, H4 fairly bearish. ES rejecting PDC, rejecting VWAP so far. And just being patient here. If you're long this orb, you look good. Last two dips in front of the orb have held so far. So if you're opening range trader, the only thing that worries me is, again, looking at the ES, lack strength. Google now going green. So the only two left red, Meta and Amazon. The rest of the market looking pretty strong here this morning. I think if you can get a break on ES through these levels, then you might get some confluence for a drive higher. Basically watching 250 near enough. 248.75. Let's have a look at the book over there. Yeah, lots of orders there. 112 lot, 112 lot, 176 lot at 249 into 250. Orders starting to come on the book here on NQ as well at 22,730. Retest of orb again here. So potential to make a flag, failure into orb, I'd be a bit more concerned about. If we start failing inside that orb, we probably come back down to VWAP. If we start failing the VWAP, we probably get a much bigger move lower. So I'd be very, very cautious here if you start to see failures. So by holding the orb, holding this kind of imbalance area, watching this here for a squeeze higher, and watching a failure under here for a rotation lower. Those are the two plays at the moment. Remember, mixed bag. When we look across at what's going on, there is a lack of confluence right now. Yes, still not through its VWAP. Cannot get through its VWAP this morning. This is like the opposite to yesterday. Might be a lackluster day here, folks, before a holiday. Might just be an inside bar on the daily, which is what it's starting to look like after a sweep of the low. Yes, going to have another go at a flag here to try and get up to that VWAP by the looks of it. VIX is trading downside, which should give confidence for the upside move, but it's lackluster. We have sellers here at 730 and then through that 750, 765. So if they're going to go here in the market, they need to get going. Can't even come up to test them so far. Are we going to get this squeeze out? 730 still not been filled up there at 730s. In a break of 730, we'll probably get up to previous week close up into those 750s. So watching this to see if they're going to start squeezing at this point. Still not filling those sellers at 730. ES still cannot get through its VWAP. Still not through PDC. You think there's a squeeze coming here? Come on, market, get going. Still not filling those guys at 730. So lots of front running here. I'd be very, very cautious. If they can't get through these 730, that is a lot of weakness. Expect they get through 730 for a drive up to 750, but at the moment they are really struggling to do anything. And ES again failing in front of VWAP. Come on, get through these 730s. Here's 730 attempts. Still not filling them at 730. Lots of front running. Lacks volume right now. You can see, look at the volume here. Tapered right off. This is terrible. You want to see that squeeze through 730 to go 735, 750, 765. Here's the 30s again. ES going the wrong way right now. Still not filled them at 730. The 50 lot, 40 lot, 60 lot. They cannot get filled here. They just sat there passive on the tape, looking to get filled. ES having another attempt to curl. I lack trust in this right now. The fact that they can't take out such small lots, for me, is very concerning. Mixed bag on the mag as well. ES failing there. Back down to RBS. Tesla 2% up. Nvidia 0.5% up. Apple 2.5% up. Google just about green. And then you got Meta 0.5% down. Amazon 0.3% down. Microsoft 0.18% down. So complete mixed bag right now. Strength in the market from Apple and Tesla. But Tesla actually giving back quite a lot of gains from pre-market. So back to Orb again. Let's see if they absorb this for another attempt. All the book is up higher. There are no bids on this book down lower. So all the liquidity is up higher. It is not very big size, but they've been unable to go and take it out. And that for me is a concern. ES is just doing a dance so far this morning between 44 and 48. It cannot break out above its VWAP right now. And this is a concern here. You've got 3.5 minutes left until a new hourly candle. Back to the orb. If they let go of this, I'd be very, very, very worried here. ES looking very weak here in how it's moving. Do they hold this trend? There's a lot of games here this morning. Sorry, folks. It's going to be like that with my coughing for a couple of weeks, I think. Right, back to flow zones, back to the orb. Do they pick enough bids up there to try and get to these 730s again? Yes, finding bids on higher time frame demand. There's another attempt at 730 and still haven't cleared it out and still failing in front of it, which is actually pretty nuts. Two minutes left. God, this is terrible action. What are we chopping in here? A 20-point range we've been in for pretty much 15 minutes. This is awful, folks. This is awful. This is what happens when low-hanging fruit gets taken pre-market. See what they do on this next hourly bar. If there's a drive up that fails, this thing's going to get whacked. Line in the sand here. Failure of this, and we go VWAP. Failure of VWAP, we go lower day. I think you're going to get some fails here. I think you're going to get a rotation here. They've had enough attempts to get higher. They can't get into those 730s. So it might be a small rotation, enough to trap some shorts. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I'm waiting for this new hourly bar, which is coming right now. So hourly bar and 4-hour bar here. If they clean out these highs and then fail, that'll be an hourly rotation, leaving an imbalance to come down to sort of 660s. If they start pumping here and they want to get a continuation above the old hourly high, then 780s is possible. Right, so watching this old hourly high, 726, 737. We get through that, probably go 750s and then 780s. Maybe it needed to wait for the new 4-hour players in the market. ES can still not get through PDC and VWAP. We are in a tiny range here, folks. Look at this range, 729 down to 703. We're basically in 30-point range here for over 15 minutes. Be very, very, very careful. That is tiny, tiny, tiny range. Here goes ES2 VWAP. We're going to try and take out these 730s and go to 750s by the looks of it. If ES fails VWAP and PDC again, then the same thing's going to happen. VIX looks like it wants to break down. It is nuts here that we can't take out these tiny orders on ES. That's on NQ. It's kind of wild. What I'm looking at is this on the book. We're struggling to take out these tiny orders up here. In fact, someone has moved their order down to get filled. He's been that impatient. He's sat there for so long. He's thinking, I'm never going to get filled there. I've got to start selling some now. So he moved down from 30 to 25 in order to get filled there. He got sick of waiting on the book. Chance we go for London high here if they're going to get going. Here's another attempt at 30. Are they going to fail it again? How many times are they going to have a go? ES failing VWAP again. Failing PDC again. We managed to expand the range by 1 point there. Volume trying to step in here. Yes, trying to get through VWAP. All it wants to do is get through VWAP and get through PDC. It's all it wants to do right now. NQ wants to get through 30 to get through to up to 50s, but so far he's been unable to do it. Clear as day, unable to do it. And there's not much there stopping it. VWAP again on ES. Starting to try and get through it. Is a breakout coming? Here's PDC on ES. Is the breakout now coming? Is the breakout now coming? Is there any follow through in this market? Can we get through 30s and just shove up to 50s? Or are they just going to get stuck here? There's the break of 30s. Here's PDC. See if we can get to 50s now. Here we go, folks. God, that took a long time. Watching ES to see if it can get through PDC now. So 40s, 55s, 65s on the book for NQ. Remember, new week opening gap up here. High time frame algo up here. Previous week close up here. And then London high up here if we're going to go and gun for that London high. But God, how long did that take? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 minutes of sideways action in a tiny range. Still not taking out 50 yet. Up to the top of that trend line, still not through it. Seems like no one's at home today in this market. Sellers are very passive. Buyers also not being very aggressive. Are we going to flag and go here? Apparently, we're just going to get stuck again. ES stuck again. 50s on ES. ES testing 50s, testing 50s. Do we get a break of 50 here on the ES? There's your 50 break. Are we going to get up to previous week close here? New week opening gap on the NQ. We're looking kind of for a move to 50s as well if it's going to get going. ES still cannot get through 50s. What do we hit there? 49.75. Tapping into 50s again. Failing into 50s again. I traded pre-market. Yeah, I made money pre-market. We were short pre-market. So ES into 50s. Can it break 50s now? 50.50 coming into higher time frame algos. Can this market get going? Is there any more upside for the squeeze back into these levels up here? This is really lackluster this morning. But watching to see if there's any squeeze potential. This is terrible, terrible action, folks. The volume is non-existent. Seems to me like traders are all taking an early holiday, but maybe we're going to get going. There's 40s finally starting to play out for you. So I would say we're into high time frame algo. We're into the top trend line, this blue line here. So if you got this long, if you were patient enough to take this long, take some partials here. I'll be watching for the next move into 52s. We are into that high time frame algo. If we get through that, then the 80s are possible. That would be your London high. That would be a sweep of London high. This is what like watching paint dry. It's very small movement so far this morning. Rejection above 50s there on the ES so far. I'd say ES probably wants to gun for that liquidity a little bit higher. A swing high there at 53s if it wants to go for it. Remains bullish here. Lower time frame remains bullish. We remain in a range. If you zoom out, if you're in an hourly and a 30-minute, we're just in a range right now. And you're approaching the top side of the range. So positioning for longs has gone. Positioning for shorts is looking better. Momentum for shorts and pattern for shorts is not present in the market yet. But the long trigger was all the way down here. I haven't liked any of this action here. This is terrible action. But it is holding flow zones. But when we're moving so slow for 5 and 10 points, I've become not very interested in the market. Yes, coming back down towards its VWAP. Let's watch how we act here. PDC and VWAP in the ES at the same point. Does it absorb and find a bid right there at that RBS level? Or has the damage been done and it's game over? Again, there's liquidity on NQ. 50, 55, 65. So they do keep adding up there to try and get filled, but has not shown an impetus to move much this morning. I think we feel like we're in a holding pattern here. When I just zoom out, keep looking at this chart, I just think we're in a holding pattern between these. Into a holiday. Damage was done yesterday. Retested the low this morning. Probably into a holding pattern like this until we get to next week, unless something changes. If we get a breakout of here, sure, but right now we feel like we're in a holding pattern. And where we opened this morning was midpoint of the range, which is why I didn't like the positioning of the trade. Potentially London high is the target here. That's 780. Here's high time from algo. Previous week close just above this. 51.25 previous week close. Liquidity above, like I said, all the way up into 65. London high is all the way up at 81. So if you're still long in this, you look good. If ES is going to start to get going now, you could have a nice little move. So the ES, I think, wants to target that high at 53. 2 more points left in it. Initial balance coming here in 20 minutes. Oh, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Just, I don't know. I look at that and think it's slow, and then I think, well, if you took the flag, you're still off the orb, still plenty of money there. Still 40 points. Looks like we're gunning for that London high to me. It looks like it wants that London high into 80s right now. Yeah, just it lacked volume for me. Like this here is fine to be low volume. But even when we broke out, there's no increase in volume here. So that worries me. It's just a low volume day, it seems. If we broke out here with volume, I would have had more confidence to take that. I mean, it is a setup. It's above the orb. We're above the VWAP. So we're on the flow zones. It is a flag. There is a draw of liquidity up here. But I mean, this is, I mean, even from here, it's so slow. Topping in, coming into supply here, red block. All right, this is supply. That's your London high up here. We get through that. PDH is all the way up here. Yeah, exactly. Pre-market was so nice, wasn't it? So reclaiming Sunday open here, reclaiming previous week close. So I think ES wants to take out those 53s, 253s. VIX starting to die here a little bit, coming back into the deep pullback flow zones, into 17s. We are top side of the range with a potential draw of liquidity up to that orange line above. Once we get above there, it's either going to need to base to break out to go higher, or it's going to do a sweep of that level and offer a range rotation back down towards the low of days. And this is what we talked about pre-market. So from this point here, we are either going to see this, or we're going to see this and a rotation back down. And we'll probably time that pretty well with the initial balance by the looks of it. Feels like we're in that slow grind market again. Last thing I want to do is be in one of these markets for too long. This is what it was like last week. This is what it's starting to look like. Well, beginning of this week, it's starting to feel like that again. Low volume, summer, slow grind market. Not what I like trading, that's for sure. Which means we're going to have to be very patient. And when big momentum comes in, we snag a bit of it and we get off the charts. Yeah, into this block. If we get through that, Coop, I think, there's lots up there at 850, 845. So 780 really key. Do we base over, well, let's call it 800s. Do we base over that? Push pull to go higher for 860s? Or is it a sweep and then a failure to dive back down in the initial balance for a rotation day? Yeah, pretty much agree with that. We'll just wait for this next drive out to see if we take this London high and then see what happens. Yes, almost at that 253 we talked about. Swing point up there at 253 is where it's trying to get to. Like I said, lower time frame very much gone into a bullish move. After, the reason this has happened is because we took out the low-hanging fruit. This is where we were short pre-market. This was the shift. This was the buy while I was doing the pre-market analysis and everything here. Maybe you could take that. I didn't take it for this move up here. So if you took this, you should be locking in some partials as you start to drift into this supply block and London. And then we can think about the next trade. Especially if we take this out, we can think about the next trade because then we've taken both sides of the range out, which would have mean New York swept lows and swept highs. Yeah, still trying to get up to that 53. I'm not really interested in anything until we take that liquidity out, which it hasn't done yet. Initial balance coming here in 12 minutes. Feels to me like it wants to get to 780, but let's see. The volume is pretty low. If we look at the daily, the volume on the daily has been very, very low since we put this pivot in. It's just been drifting down. Yesterday, more sell volume for the first time, but let's see how we go. Yeah, it's almost at that 53. What's the level? 53.50. It needs to get to. It's at 52.50, so one more point, and it's there. Oh, shit. I hate that. Just deleted a box on Ninja. I didn't mean to. I would like to see this market do one more push higher. One more push higher to go and clean everyone out and then see what's what. And maybe I can get a trade after that. Yeah, I know. I really don't get why it doesn't work. It's so stupid. Their argument would be like, oh, it could be a hotkey. It's like, well, just make sure you can't put it as a hotkey. This wants to move higher. Definitely wants to move for those 680s. Just whether it needs one more trap low before it does it. So patient. It's tough to be patient in these markets. Nice. Apple done the damage here this morning, closed its gap. So possibly another flag and go here. I'm not trading it because we're up to in supply. So I'm not trading flags in supply. You're asking to get hurt, but I think it's probable that we try and take this out. We're that close, but I'm not trading this. Missed my opportunity here. Definitely missed the best opportunity was down here. That was the best opportunity here, this buy signal here. Especially once we reclaimed lower time from algo, even this, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. Oh, we're definitely into supply up here. Pretty monumental fail from VIX, I must say. So is this flag going to play out? Are they going to go and clear out that London high? How long we got? 8 minutes left for them to do it before the initial balance is set. Did ES clear out there? No, missed it again. This is what I mean. There's not much sort of buying pressure to force the market up. There's no major sell pressure. Everything's pretty passive, which makes trading momentum pretty hard. Pretty hard when everything's passive on the book. The Delta looks good. There's a reason for it to move higher. It's just very, very slow to get going. It feels like every tick up is sold into. Everyone's so worried. Every little push, they're taking profit. When you even think about this, tiny little push above, take profit, come back down. Like, it's pretty lame. Yeah, still not taking 53s out. Come on, go for London high. Then we might get a trade. So pathetic. Yeah, still not taking 53s. Tagged it. Not sweeping it. You got to think there should be a shove coming here to come and clean all this level out. Yeah, I'm just watching this book and it's just, it is dead. And these orders are not of any size and struggling to take any of these levels out. You can just see like people pulling their orders because they've sat there all day, sold lower because they got annoyed. got to feel it wants to take London out. There's ES. Finally, ES is cleared out. Right, how do we act now? Do we get divergence? Can we get up to that London high? How long have we got left? 5 minutes until the initial balance will be set. So if you've taken any of these longs up here, please make sure you're paying yourself. You are into a supply block. This is why it's red. You're very close to taking this liquidity, but ES has taken that liquidity. So you might get divergence. So make sure you're being proactive. VIX coming back down to close its gap, about to hit PDC here. There you go. Look at the difference when buyers come in. It's the first time today we've seen people marketing in with volume. Look at the volume bar on your screen. Look at the difference when buyers come in. That's what we've been waiting for all day. It took all that time, right? So we've cleared out London. How we operate now is key. If we fail, then it's a clear out of Globex. If we pull back and start to hold bids, then I think we can get to previous week high, which would be 825 up here. But the damage has been done. We did just clear out. ES looks like might want previous day high now at 261. So just waiting for this IB to set ideally now. Look at the volume difference. They've paired it off pretty quick though. ES cleaned a lot of levels out there, folks. A lot of levels. So need to see if bids start to hold here or not. If not, you could get a collapse. So they're taking an hour to turn the volume on. It's all because of Trump. All right, Trump made a deal with Vietnam. There we go. So there was literally nothing. We had to wait for him to do that. $90 seconds left and we get the initial balance. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Yeah, maybe I'll stream. I don't think there'd be much going on. Yeah, I just see that. He got done for prostitution and got off with everything else. Crazy. Apparently nowadays you can drug people, you can rape them, but you'll just get done with prostitution. What has gone on with the judicial system? I know, it's crazy. His career's done though. No one would touch him. No one would touch him. He had too many powerful people in his pocket. It's just like Epstein, same story. Too many powerful people in their pocket. All right. Initial balance about to be set. So now we're thinking about auction versus failed auction, continuation higher or not. ES trying to get up to previous day high. So ES pulling the market up. Most of the market is either flat or green. Tesla 3.69% up. Nvidia 1.83% up. Apple 2.18% up. Google 0.62% up. Meta flat. Amazon 0.10% down, but pretty much flat. Microsoft pretty much flat. Exactly, Paul. I think that's exactly it. Protecting famous people. Just like Epstein, same story. All right, so previous day high tagged on the S&P, not quite tagged yet on the ES, but it's almost there. That's what they're looking to do. And then we have to see what's what after that, if we're going to get a rotation after that, or if we're going to start to build out here. But we're going to need a big pullback if we're going to think about a continuation trade. So if we expand aggressively, we might get a W, but otherwise I'd be very, very careful. This kind of thing might be possible. If we expand up here without pulling back, it's going to be very hard to get involved. This wants to gun all the way up for 850 without a pullback. It's going to be almost impossible to be involved in it. Starting to regret not buying that orb big time now. It's just so slow. It was so slow. Can't get them all. Only human. Uh, 850 looks possible here. All right, there's the initial balance. Do they start setting a pullback, or are they just going to go straight to 850 at this point? Remember, if we do a pullback, it's got a long way down it can go. So we think about auction versus failed auction. Do we turn this into some sort of support down here or something like this? Or are we just going to rotate back down to the VWAPs? If we're going to rotate, you'd want ES to clear out and then this kind of move here. I wouldn't be thinking about short unless I see some kind of signature like that. I'd really want ES to take previous day high out first before we even think about something like that. Otherwise, we've got a draw of liquidity higher just sat there. Bidders on the tape here at 780, 775, 770. We are extended here. You can see we are extended from flow zones. Do not be bidding up here. Even if it moves higher without you, just be happy to let it go. I want to see pullbacks into levels start to hold. If they don't hold, we can get a rotational day. No real 5-minute structure until 27s. No worries, B2. Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, maybe some of you took the long. I mean, we did call it. It just wasn't something I wanted to take. I was saying it's potential. I just didn't like the point of where we were, but you know, it's gone. It's been and gone, and I missed that. This was all in pre-market. That was the play for me. This right here, that's the easy money, and then that can be an add rather than new position. But you know, it's all worked out. If you're long in this, it's worked out. We're going to define trend day in the next 30 minutes now versus this initial balance. So let's see. But ES getting up towards that previous day high. SPY, like I said, has already taken it. ES is trying to get up to it. The previous day high on ES will be 61.50s. We do have divergence between the futures and the ETFs here. Very extended up here. It's been a slow grind that's got just steeper and steeper and steeper, but we are extended. You cannot be shorting this until it gives you a signature to short. And remember, we have liquidity up here on the ES that it wants to take out. So if we take it out and then we collapse underneath the initial balance, there is an IB trade back to VWAP for a rotational day. If we take one of the levels out, we have taken it out in SPY, we haven't taken it on ES. So I'm very, very aware of that. If we do a pullback first without taking it, and we start to see some form of trap, some sort of lower time frame, inverse head and shoulders, there might be a long opportunity, maybe off the trend line or somewhere around here for a rotation all the way back upside. But let's just see. At the moment, I'm waiting to see if there's a push which fails, which cleans out and then fails. See the range as well. Yeah. The golden zone territory. VIX new lower day here, breaking down underneath PDC. Yes, trying to get that PDH that we talked about. It's desperate to take that PDH out. PDH now taken on the ES. All right, there's your clear out of PDH. They're still adding liquidity higher, 62, 65, and 70 on the ES. They're still trying to get the market to drag up a bit higher. NQ starting to add liquidity lower. There is a big seller just came on at 825 though, which will be a previous week high. A big seller just came on the tape up there, 100 lot, and that's institutional. That's the biggest order I've seen today on the NQ. He's moved down to 815 now. He's trying to get filled, that means. Still at 815s. He's trying to get filled at 815s right now. 108 lot. Remember, ES took the high, still holding higher highs, higher lows so far. No reason to short this yet. If we start getting failures underneath initial balance, if we start to see a shift in structure, we can think about a rotation to VWAP. Otherwise, continuation can continue to happen. Let's just put it that way. Watching this carefully because we have cleared out the highs on the ES. I would like ES to push a little bit higher, only because of the liquidity on the book. Yeah, sellers on the ES, 62s, 63.5, 65, 70. Once we take those guys out, we can see what's what. So they're just looking to run the stops, and then let's see if they get filled. Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, it's slow, grindy. It's actually offered better trades than I imagined, if I'm honest. This is why I'm kicking myself. These were the opportunities today. This was a very good technical opportunity here. Either dips or breakout here, but it's never looked back. It's been a good opportunity. It's Yeah, it lacked volume for me at that part of the day. You can see volume started to pick up since that Trump tweet. Right, here comes initial balance. Are they going to hold bids here for a squeeze higher, one more push higher and a failure, or do they just collapse? Still holding those 800s here, still holding initial balance. ES above initial balance, just printing between IB and PDH. I want ES to push higher and clear out that liquidity that's resting on the book, which is what it's trying to do now. So next level, 65 and 70s. Okay, seller on NQ starting to lift his order. So he's trying to drag this market higher right now. He wants 22s now. So that's a bit of a spoofer on the book. Now he's moved back down to 17s. They're trying to provide liquidity to lift this higher right now. So no shorts here. You cannot think about short. We're above the initial balance. We're in a strong trend up. It's not an area where I'm particularly keen on buying right now. I'd like a deeper pullback to buy, looking at like the H1 and 30 minutes. Last H1 bar is expansive, right? We've moved from 7 to 800. We've moved 100 points in this H1 bar. I don't want to buy the top of the H1 with 20 minutes left. Very grindy. Holding trend, though, that's all that matters. It is holding trend. You have to respect it. $850 next level if it's going to go. If you're not in this long, I don't think you should be entering long up here. I think it's way, way, way too high risk to be entering a long up here. So you're either in from the orb or in from lower, or you're waiting. Unfortunately, it's just how it is. Some days are like this. How many of you took that orb long out of interest? Maybe some of you did. Nicely, Kim. $100 lot at 817 here. 150 lot at 265, and then 184 lot at 270 on the ES. So 817. Once they pop through that, they're going to try and trade up to 840, 850. I want buyers to get stuck up here, so it offers a short rotation back down, even if it's a very small short. Then I can flip back long. I think we're going 850s. Through 850s can keep going if it really wants to. There's the flush. Do they absorb this? Is this the trap now? Initial balance holding. They're starting to sell this very aggressively here. So they've caught everyone. Wait all that time for them to do it. Look at the sell coming in there. All right, I'd be letting go. So I want to see now if this is the trap. Do they start to absorb these areas? If the next push-up starts to fail initial balance, I want to get involved. I don't want to chase a flush like this. They're so dirty the way they're doing this. So dirty. Wait, I'm waiting and waiting and waiting to get involved, and this is how they do it. You horrible, horrible buggers. Normally I get paid for patience. I don't have to sit here waiting. All right, let's see if this next push-up failed. If they reclaim all the levels, then we're going to go for new highs, and this is just a trap. So let's see now. If they start to sell this, we're going to go for lower prices. Was there news there that caused that, or was that just them saying, hey, enough's enough, this is stupid? Still absorbing that RBS level so far. So is this push-up going to fail in front of the initial balance? I've got a little piece on here. Stop break even. All right. Can I get filled here to get this piece on, please? Can I get filled here? Apparently not. ES melting. Already taken out all the liquidity. ES has done a lot of damage there. I'm taking this off because ES has already gone and cleaned out liquidity. I'll get back in on a short side if I see a clear rejection here. Otherwise, I think they've just trapped to go higher. Books thinned right out as well. I think they might have just trapped to go higher here. But ES just cleaned out that liquidity, that wick at 54. Watching ES as it pushes into initial balance. If ES fails and we get confluence, then I'm interested. But VIX is still printing low of day. They're making this super tricky. I'm just going to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait here. I do not want to get trapped here. I've got a horrible feeling that is the trap to go higher because they've left liquidity higher. Again, it's another Trump tweet. Can't compete with this, man. Cannot compete with tweets moving the market. There you go. It's a trap to go higher from the looks of it on NQ. So pull back down. No follow through yet. This is a trap to go higher by the looks of it. ES is coming back into its initial balance. So ES might sell here, NQ with relative strength at this point in terms of positioning. Absolute nightmare scenario. The terms that Vietnam will pay the United States 20% tariff on any and all goods sent to our territory and 40% on tariffs any transshipping. In return, Vietnam would do something they have never done before, give the United States of America total access to their markets for trade. So yeah, trap to go higher. Divergence here. We're at previous week high now. I'm just going to let this settle down at this point. VIX at low of day. ES stuck between previous day high and initial balance. So ES can still make a lower high here. NQ's just swept the high again. And you've got Trump tweeting. Just to make it extra, extra, extra hard. ES still has liquidity up higher it can search for if it wants. Just waiting because I cannot compete with news algos. Way too quick. It feels like they've trapped there. Feels like they've trapped here. Are they going to break upside at this point? ES can get going, then the market will break upside. But look at the divergence and how they look. Like nasty flush here. ES sweeps out that key level at 54, which is why I thought better about putting the short back on. And then it recovered all the way back up. And now we've printed right above initial balance and we're going back to highs. So unless you were hanging out here as a passive buyer looking for this dip, there's pretty much no way of getting involved. You'd need this to pull back here for a continuation now. And that's going to be risky to do if ES is underneath the initial balance. So they are making this very, very hard, folks. For folks that trade a very set system, they're making this pretty hard. About to break out the highs here. Lots of selling here into 20s, 30s, and 50s. There's previous week high. This thing wants to start motoring now, clearly. So I'd say 50s. If we break 50s, we're going to go 67s. There's just no way of me getting involved in this at the moment. Oh, this is a pain. Well, trend line held. All right, into top side of supply up here. We can shorten this out. That's what I'm looking at. ES not breaking its high yet. Let's have a look at liquidity on ES. Still got liquidity high at 65 and 70. I just don't like the buying opportunity up here now. Way, way, way too high risk, even though, like I said, I think they trapped there. I thought about the short on a pullback in and thought, don't know what ES has done. Amazon, the only one not green here. Still looking at the same plays, really. Trend above initial balance. Supplies at 840, 850, 860s. Failing under initial balance, failing under 780s, failing under trend will allow a deeper short. Other than that, I've just got to wait at this point. There is nothing I can do here. This is a nasty trap, which offered no second leg down to play against and no real buy opportunity. What a pain. I'm sorry, folks. I don't control the market. I can't make it do what we want. We'll get a trade. It's just going to require us to sit still for a while. tapping into Monday's POC here. It's a big level. See it right here. So I just checked this to see where we're coming into on the single prints, but this is Monday's POC, which we're starting to react off. ES back to IB. Soaking off IB so far across the indexes. Still holding trend. No reason to short. We're going to need a collapse to short. I'm not really too keen on bidding straight off here. I just think we're so extended. Question is, did this catch enough shorts here? If it did, it won't need to go lower. That's the one thing I'm saying in my head. Like, if we're going to hold initial balance, if we've caught enough, again, just look at the ES. Look how different it looks. Still above trend, still above IB. ES still holding IB. I think there might be a collapse coming at some point, but we're just going to have to wait. So far, pretty strong reaction off the Monday point of control. Here we go, back towards the initial balance. Now let's see if they're going to let this go at this point. ES now underneath IB, but still protecting its last swing low, that trap low. NQ above IB. It's going to require patience here. You cannot front run this, folks. If they want to absorb this to send it higher, they can still do so. There is still liquidity on the book higher on the NQ. There is still liquidity on the book higher on the ES. All right, they're not done yet. Okay, sorry folks, having to reply to someone. Divergence here. You got a double tap on ES. ES failing to make a new high. NQ made the new high. ES failing underneath initial balance. NQ at the initial balance. If this is a like micro bear flag, you need to wait for a breakdown of all this structure. We can move this a bit deeper if you want, just to be safe. You need to wait for a breakdown if it's going to come. There is still liquidity up higher. They've got bids on the tape at 800. And they've got sellers at 8.15, 8.30s, 8.40s. Do not be in a rush. You do not need to pick the top. If it's going to fail, it's going to be nice and clear and obvious. Otherwise, this can keep drifting higher on you. Do not be the short that keeps adding and adding and adding and adding, all right? If we don't get a trade today, you know, it will be my fault that we missed this, all right? It will be my fault. I talked about it, but you guys are probably waiting for me to say I'm going to take it long, and I didn't. So this is what happens to Alex when he has that. The good news is I got a really nice short pre-market. Probably why I'm slightly hesitant as well, to be honest. When I have a big winner pre-market, it's always almost harder to get back in. Strength remains in this market. 830, 840, 850. It's where they're trying to send it right now. Can they clear out these highs? SPY might want to come for 19. What's this high? 1923. Not too far away. Book a bit thicker up here. A bit thicker with sellers. So can they get through them? They're trying. They're desperately trying to clear these guys out of 30, 40s to get to 50s. There we go. There's the clear. So new higher day there. Still guys left on the book at 40s and 50s. Do they get that continuation? So again, divergence here. NQ making another new higher day. ES not making a higher day. ES is wedging in right now. You've got lower highs and higher lows right now on the ES. Very different looking charts, whereas we're continuing to push higher here. Bear with me, folks. I'm going to get a refill on my coffee. She's asking for food. I mean, she's really hungry. All right. Nothing changed here. See how ES is wedging in? All right, the divergence on the tape. See how ES is wedging in here? All right, that's previous day high taken on ES. So low-hanging fruit on ES has been taken. Next level will be up here on ES if it's going to get going. And we're just hanging out at this IB high right now. No reason to short this morning, but absolutely no reason to short it. I thought about the short here, all right? I thought about the short here when I was waiting to get filled. The reason I didn't take it is ES swept a major level, and once we reclaimed, I was like, makes no sense now. The low-hanging fruit's gone. So to take that would have been high risk, and I would have got absolutely munched, as you can see. So it's just a wash, and they use it as a trap to go higher. Buyers are in complete control today, in absolute control. Have to respect that. Until they've got a reason to sell, they're not going to sell. So that means we either find a way to buy it or we wait. Another thing to note, remember, a higher time frame, daily, is in an up move. We talked about it. What will this set up on the daily? We are setting up, I'm on the right chart, a potential inside bar for a flag, right, for next week. So I would not be surprised if we do this tomorrow, unless the print tomorrow morning's big, and then we allow this move. Remember, ES still got unfinished business. It's still trying to get up to all-time highs. There goes the Qs. So it looks like they're going to get that move for all those stops. 850, 864, and it's just going to keep going then. It's going to keep running out all these shorts who didn't cover at previous day low this morning, which was our cover point in the room. Anyone who didn't cover previous day low, they're getting squeezed out. As you'll see here, we talked about it this morning. TP here into previous day low, runners only now. All right, so that's what we took. Breakdown, previous day low, job done. All right, lots of reasons to short here. The advantage of being in the room. So if you want to get in the Discord room, it's for members who have done the course. The course currently is on 30% sale. You can use code USA. So if you head over to flowzonetrader.com, you do the beginner to the advanced course. It's a 20-hour course. With that, right now, for a limited time only, into the weekend, you will get the 20-hour course, you will get Discord, you get the Flow Zone indicator, and you will get a free Apex account of any size. And that will end on the 5th, midnight on the 5th. All right, still wedging in here on the ES. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry we haven't had a banger of a trade today. We had a great one yesterday. I'm kicking myself that I'm not in this long side, but what are you going to do? I've either got to take a counter trend short when it's ready for a scalp or wait for that big pullback to get long into. One or the other. There's nothing else I can do at this point. It's still adding liquidity on the book higher. 65, 75s now. That's on the Qs I'm talking about. On the ES, 65 and 70 and 75. So the big orders up there. There's bids at 58s here, 100 lot of 58s. So if they don't hold 58s, then you might get a deeper wash. But again, it's just wedging itself in right now. New hourly candle here. And just be careful. This hourly candle hasn't repriced at all. It's gone straight up. Straight up. It's never even dug into the previous hour. Do not buy the highs on this, all right? Do not buy the highs on this. Previous day high is up at 914. Literally opened up the new hour here and gone straight up. So this can be a signature sometimes. When it dies, it can offer a nice reprice into the old hourly bar. Think about how big that old hourly bar is. We said it's the old hourly bar opened at 700s. Came up to 812, all right? So if it's going to reprice, it's going to reprice under 812, probably down to 780s. All of the mag now green, folks. Every single one of the mag now green. And ES stuck. Anyone else bored? Yeah, starting to let go a little bit here underneath the initial balance. Again, still just wedging in. Higher lows, lower highs. NQ still holding pivots. Oh, I've lost my stream. Fantastic. Still holding flow zones, still above initial balance. ES beneath initial balance, but still holding flow zones. Do we get a wash? Do we get a wash anytime soon? ES looks a bit more toppy than NQ right now in like how it's moving. Vic's trying to find a bit of a bid here. Again, the worrying thing right now is if NQ does want to get going through the 850s, previous day high is at 915. It is not out of reach. Same with those London highs from yesterday. If we start to break down here, you might get a deeper rotation. But again, technically we are trend day over initial balance. Failing initial balance and 780s, I think you get a deeper move. But that can just be, you know, we can pull back into that and find bids there so far. All right, starting to see potential lower high there. Again, ES is still holding around its initial balance. We are still absorbing. This is still the swing low that made the high. All right, this low made the high. So technically speaking, this can be internal range and we can still move higher until we see a breakdown underneath these levels. I'd be watching this very carefully. So still not a short for me. If you're betting short here, you're hoping this produces the lower high. Safer option is just to wait. Like I said, I'm really sorry. I've been quiet today. There's not much to do right now. I'm just trying to be very, very patient. I know I'm not going to bid up here and I'm not going to force my way short in it. So until we get like a flow zone cross, a clear move underneath the swing pivot, some clear momentum shift for a potential short lower, then I can take the short and then I can think about bidding it back up later in the day, especially if it's going to be a short which traps sellers at lows and then becomes a good buy. So if we can nail something which is a short down to sort of 780s, maybe 730s, and then start bidding off that, fantastic. That will offer two potential trades today. Otherwise, I need to be happy with what I made pre-market. Again, very slow tape this morning as well. Yeah, patience. Patience is key for everything. Market will not pay impatient people. If it pays you when you're impatient, you're just lucky. It will pay you for taking proper setups. There's been there have been setups today to the long side, like we talked about. I didn't execute them. And this is what happens when you don't execute the setup when it's there. You either chase and get punished or you have to wait. Oh my God. COVID coughs are worst. The absolute worst. Not got long left here either until lunch. I don't think we break out today on the daily. I think they're going to wait for another day to do that, but I could easily be wrong. I would have thought they'd wait to do that breakout for next week unless we get some big news tomorrow morning that moves the market. But I can imagine a double inside bar here today and tomorrow, and then that's setting up for a bigger move next week. I can imagine that. I have to get my inhaler here in a second. Stuck here at previous week high currently. Yes, bidding over his initial balance. It wants to come and try and take out the highs. Yes, it's been up there 1, 2, 3 times on a 5 minute. Like I said, it's wedging in. When this market rolls over, it's probably just going to be a pullback. So if you're going to take a short, you best be aware that it's probably just going to be a pullback in the market. Right, so we just got to be very, very, very patient. You are starting to break trend. You're starting to build liquidity outside of trend. But again, it's protecting this swing low. This swing low created this high, and this is your initial balance. So technically, we can still trade up over these levels. We're comfortably over like 5 minute flow zones and all these things tagged into supply up here. There's no reason to short yet, in my opinion. It's much easier to let the candles form, all right? If we're going to get a short, you want to see something where it's a clear rejection, where it starts to do this, something like that, where you have like some solid RR to trade down into these levels. But I would say once we get down here, there's a very strong possibility that it does this move if it's left liquidity up higher. Oh my gosh. I want to watch the Lions highlights later once I get off stream. Another good win for the boys. And then some Wimbledon. All right, NQ testing these wick lows here. ES going the other way, just to make it tricky. Just into this area where we found bids off. Last time we found bids here into that 11 o'clock candle. Remember, if we change this candle, the hourly candle, green to red, then there's a chance to dive down. All right, so I'm watching the hourly candle. If the hourly candle wants to go to green to red, there is a chance for it to move lower. Remember, a signature on the hourly candle is often to leave a pin high, sweeping the previous hourly candle, and then offering a pullback, which is it is potentially setting up to do. No guarantee of it. We're not moving lower yet, and ES is trying to break out here. So big divergence across the market again. VIX breaking down new lows. ES about to break out of new highs here. Liquidity on the book here, all right, on ES, 23, 24, So 23, 63, 64, 65. There's 100 lots all the way up into 65. Then it gets a little bit thinner into 70, but not a lot thinner. So lots of orders here on the ES. Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I tell you what, I went to see the F1 film the other week, well, over the weekend. I struggled, mate. I'm going to say, as an F1 fan, I struggled. I think it would do wonders for the sport. I think it helps people who don't understand the sport see what really goes on, like tire deg and pits and politics. But I think if you're an F1 fan, it's a hard watch. It's a hard watch. All right, starting to see some failures at the highs on ES. It's still not taking out pivot lows. We're still protecting this pivot low so far, but we're starting to see potential rollover here. It just depends if they trap to send higher, right? Is there a trap here to send higher, or are we going to start to get stuck here for this move? Something setting up soon. The problem is the confluence. There's no confluence right now in the market. You've got to think ES wants to go for that breakout. This candle very close to going green to red on the hourly like we talked about. If you look at the hourly, you'll see what I'm talking about. We start letting go of the initial balance, we're going to get a deeper trade here. Starting to go red on this hourly candle now. Here we go. Do we start to wash? Watching the IB here. If they let go of the IB here, there's a deeper trade here down to 80s. So into this swing low here. If pops start to fail now, there's a deeper trade down into 80s. The other option is they trap underneath this swing low. So just be careful. Like I said, ES is still holding up, but if we're going to do a rotation with a failed auction above initial balance, we're going to come lower. Big ifs, but that's the deal. Tapping into IB. If the next pop up starts to get sold into 815, somewhere around there, then there's a possible rotation on the hourly down into this block here. It's not leaving you that much room, so you're going to have to take profit if you're going to take this short down into that area and then hold a runner for a collapse down to VWAP. You cannot just sit in it and hope it goes lower, because it is shown that this is a big RBS level, and that would be an hourly pullback. The hourly pullback can go as deep as 731. I don't think it would do much more than that. It would probably be a pullback to be absorbed. If they want to keep absorbing this, they will. So I'm watching to see if it fails a push into this level here where buyers kept stepping in. If they fail where buyers kept stepping in, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. If they fail where buyers keep stepping in, we might get this move into here. If they reclaim this, then we're just going to send it, especially if ES holds up. Decision point for the market here. Decision point for the market. ES having another attempt to try and move higher. So this is key. How we act here. If ES breaks out here, then not interested in taking this short in this drive back into where the buyers are stuck. So this is the hard thing right now, is watching the confluence. VIX trying to break down low of day. ES trying to break out towards high of day. Gives you very low confidence, or at least me, very low confidence to take a short here above the initial balance. But that is the setup. If they're going to do it, that's the setup. You can always wait for a clear breakdown. There's a good rejection up there so far into the 15s. Flow zone's trying to go red. Again, they're not beneath any of the key levels yet. This is the problem. It can trap here underneath this swing low to go higher with how ES is operating. A lack of confluence so far. I'm not in this short yet. I'm watching it. I want to see ES push and fail. If ES breaks out, we're probably going to make a new high here on NQ and follow it. VIX breaking down underneath daily lows. So nothing in confluence for a short here. As much as I like the setup potentially looking at NQ, I like nothing else looking sideways, which means I'm not really very interested in it. Remember, it's the hardest trade in the book, taking a short rotation, especially above the IB. Very, very risky. So I'm going to leave this alone until it proves itself some more. It looks to me like ES wants to break out here, which means we might do an inverted head and shoulder to move higher here on NQ if it's going to do that. So far, it's looking like they might trap here underneath this low. If they do, the choice is rejection of here and move lower, or this move here to take out the highs. That's the choice right now. You can see where buyers got stuck before. That's what I was watching. Really need ES to join in confluence for me to have any confidence to take this. Continues to wedge on the ES. Yeah, still trying to break out. All right, there goes ES. ES, sorry, I'm getting distracted. I've got friends asking me for investment help. ES breaking out of the highs here, new daily high. Like I said, this is the one reason I didn't like the short into here. I was very tempted, but once I saw VIX breaking down and ES breaking out of daily highs, it became less probable to take this short. So we just have to watch now. If ES is going to hold its gains up here, then there's a chance for the NQ to move back up towards highs. If ES is going to sweep and collapse underneath the initial balance low, then the NQ might roll over. Those are the opportunities right now. Nothing else has changed. This is why I trade them as a pair. This is why I need confluence in the market. Because one will drag the other up and then the other will drag the other up, and they'll keep doing it. All right, potential inverse head and shoulders here. If it can get going, you can see it's a two-leg pullback that they're trying to absorb off the initial balance. This is what we're talking about. This is possible, as is a clear failure here. The easier short will be once they take this out at this point. You will need ES to fail its highs. And if ES just pulls back here and finds an RBS level, it's just going to absorb again. Which is what it's trying to do right now. It's pulling back to its old high. It's trying to see if that resistance becomes support to move higher or not. If it doesn't become support, you might get a bigger collapse here in the NQ. If it does become support, you might get NQ building out this right shoulder to move higher. All right, so talked about this while we're here moving down. What I expect to happen. One of those two things. Testing the RBS right here, right now on ES. If they start letting go, we might move underneath the initial balance. We're just creating a range and starting to go sideways here. Yeah, JD, it's looking great, isn't it? It is looking good. That's why they're all messaging me right now, because I got them into that and into Apple. And they're then asking me, do I buy this? Do I buy this? I'm like, no, you don't. Stop watching Jim Cramer. Key decision points here in this market. They make a new low here on the NQ. You might get a meltdown. You might well get a meltdown here if they start washing this, especially if ES is going to let go of this RBS. You are going to get a meltdown here. So testing the lows now. This is decision point here. This is starting to look a bit heavier here with some profit taking, failing to make a new high in NQ, making a new high in ES. ES lets go of this RBS point, then you'll get a rotation down. If it holds the RBS point, then we're going to stay in this range. Remember, we've basically gone from a steep trend to starting to go sideways. And at some point, at some point, someone will get hurt. All right, one of these two things will happen. You got tapering. Anyone who's done the course, right? You got tapering into a sideways channel, building liquidity out. That means. Can see how patient you have to be sometimes, fellas and ladies and gents. Sometimes this is just how it is. The reason you're seeing me on my phone so much and stuff is because I know I don't need to watch this. It's going to be very clear and obvious when it's ready. If it's ready, it might never be ready. It might be next week. It might absolutely be next week. And even if you don't get the short, it's going to give you a long opportunity, all right? If you don't get the short, 30 minutes is starting more and more to look more and more like a possible short back down, which can be absorbed in this blue box and below. If we think about the 30-minute, it's starting to look more and more about this hourly high can rebalance. 30-minute head and shoulder can rebalance. From this point somewhere here, probably looking for that move. How does the market move? All right, something like that. If it fails this rotation here. That's why we don't guess tops and bottoms. We just wait and we take a bit of the momentum when it's ready. Can also put a new channel in here. All right, ES getting tight here. Is it going to let go? Just keeps testing its RBS. Let's check the liquidity again on ES. There's still liquidity higher. 65, 66, 67, 69, 70. Those are all 100 and 200 lots. And then 75 got 196 lots. So there's still liquidity above on the ES for it to come and clean out. It's not like one side's fully trapped yet. Do not have multi-time frame alignment here. Lower time frames short, higher time frames in a buy. Definitely volume's dried up. Look at this volume since we had that big puke and big spike earlier, and it's just gone. Everyone's starting to leave their desk, probably going on holiday. Take the long weekend for 4th of July. They probably leave today and won't be back till Monday. Do not be surprised if tomorrow is the same as today and just pretty much dead, other than that news driver we've got in the morning. So like we say, you've got to be in capital preservation first. Days like yesterday, we make big money. Days like today, unfortunately, I haven't. Maybe some of you have. And that's okay. I've still made money. I'm still here for tomorrow. I'm still going to trade again tomorrow, and then I'm going to trade on Monday, and we're going to keep doing the same thing. Some days are big days, some days aren't. Okay, coming back down and testing towards that initial balance low again. This is our third time down in this region. ES is still holding potential RBS there. Thank you, JD. JD saying boss it speaks at 11:02. Is that 11 Central Time? Are you talking about tomorrow? Let me check. Financial juice. I don't have anything. I don't have him up on financial juice. Doesn't mean it's not. I believe you, totally believe you. I just can't see it. It might also be that I'm completely blind, which is also very possible. Got comments from Pal. Am I on the wrong day? I'm probably on the wrong day. Let's have a look. I still can't see him. Wait a second. Yeah, wait a second. I don't have him down, but it doesn't mean it's not there. It's just whatever my source isn't showing me it. But I believe you. Thank you, buddy. So in 15 minutes, you're saying, yeah? All right, there you go. ES finally breaking out. God, it took some time, didn't it? ES finally breaking out, clearing out the highs there. Still's got room to go. 69, 70, 75. ES into NQ into 30s here. It's trying to build that inverted head and shoulder. You're seeing that breakout of this attempt of a flag. Remember, it's got supply above. This is the level that we keep talking about. This kind of level here, it keeps coming up and failing, coming up and failing, coming up and failing. If it starts to absorb here now, we're going to have a higher low and attempt at a squeeze. If it fails that level, this is just a clear out, which gets sold into. So they are making it tricky. You got to be patient. Tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is it today or tomorrow? I couldn't see it on schedule today. Thanks, mate. VIX starting to flatten out here. Be careful if VIX starts to curl here. I'll use a bathroom one more time. Be right back. Yeah, exactly. All right, folks. Oh my gosh, still no change. Trading in a 20, 30 point range here. Coming to back test that trend line, that imbalance from that last push out. You're getting close to lunch here. 10 minutes left till lunch here, folks. Move still remains upside so far. They're still holding price to the upside until it proves otherwise. A little bit of a wiggle here in the tape. Let me check ES. Still got liquidity. 67, 68, 69, 70, 75. NQ still got liquidity at 30s, 40s, and 50s. Downside liquidity. Lots of resting liquidity. Resting there at 780 and 775, waiting to get picked up. I'm looking for one side to get taken first. Is this all-time highs on the SPY? It is. Okay. The SPY trading at all-time highs here. Just have to check that to make sure. ES on an adjusted chart. We are clearing the 720s, the 270s. It still needs to trade up to 288s on the adjusted chart for an all-time high, but the spiders are technically in all-time high territory here. So you've got to remember that every high it makes is a new high now, new all-time high on the S&P. Down to that imbalance we just squeezed out from. That trend line holding for now. Not a great buying location though, but it is holding for now. Supply just above that we've rejected. ES has made all-time highs. Oh, sorry, ES SPY's made all-time highs and pulling back. ES is into a supplies block right now, and you've got lunch coming here in 7 minutes. VIX starting to go sideways a bit here as well. I really think everyone's gone on holiday, folks. This is, look at the volume. Look at the volume, or the lack of it. Very painful, I agree. Just nothing happening. I can't remember. I know you guys had it while I was ill last week, but these days are horrible days. Horrible days to trade. I think we've been spoiled with good momentum. But it's going to come back, trust me. July 8th, July 9th, you watch. You watch the liquidity come flying back as the volatility starts to spike. I would imagine the day before the tariffs, you start to see it get wonky. On the tariff announcement day, it's going to go berserk. Still protecting that low, that swing low. No close under it. Right, there's a trap under it. No close under. This is a pullback that held. This is all internal range between this right now. That's all this is. This is internal range. God, this is painful. This is so painful. VIX is trying to curl here. Take care, Trentry. Can you make your mind up, please? Can we get some form of movement, please? It's still holding above previous day high, above initial balance high, on its current intraday RBS level here, still holding. She has surgery on the 8th, Jeff, unfortunately. So yeah, surgery booked in on the 8th. It was the soonest we could get it. The surgeon's away on vacation right now. So yeah, streams might be a little tricky, but I'll do my best. Not looking forward to it. Not looking forward to it. Feel terrible for her. Anyone who's had a dog that's had TPLO before knows how rough that surgery is, and the rehab is long. I'm really thinking about moving to Palm Springs, September, October, November potentially, so I can have a nice garden and put like a small pen in there so that she can be there. She's 8. She's 8 years old. There we go. So ES trying to break out yet again. You're seeing this sort of curl and hold, this flag here. They're trying to do this move. This break here can potentially send it up to this high. That's what they're looking to do. Is it a good location to buy in? No, not really. You're right next to supply after a move of origin, which was a good location down here. This is the one I'm really kicking myself over. That is pathetic, Alex. That is a bad, bad miss. Bad miss from me. I'm only human. I'm not going to get everything. All right, lunchtime here, folks. Lunchtime here, folks. So that's it done for me, wrapping it up here. We'll be back tomorrow morning. It might be more of the same, very, very slow grind tomorrow. It's very, very possible. So please just be careful. We see what we get tomorrow. No worries. Sorry, team. Not much here this morning. I called it out for you, but I know a lot of you look for me to have confidence in a trade, and if I don't have it, I don't take it. And if it goes, I feel terrible when it goes without me. I feel like you guys don't get the wins that you probably deserve, but there we go. I'm only human. I am only human. Again, made some good money pre-markets. That's all right. Yeah, trade safe, please. Be smart. Let's go over some sales before I leave. Keep my partners happy. 80% discount on Apex right now. Use code FCT. 35% discount on Traderfy right now. You can use code FCT. And 40% discount right now on Take Profit Trader. 40%. You can use code FLOWZone over there. All one word, capitals, FLOWZone. Good luck. If you trade the rest of the day, good luck. Just be careful of that slow grind. Be careful of those traps when they let it go and then they absorb it like we saw earlier. And yeah, I'll see you all in the morning. Peace and love. Be kind to each other. Use hard stops.